Hey guys, this is WWE superstar Charlotte Flair, and you're listening to WellsMania Podcast. Woo!
Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 4 of WellsMania Podcast on YouTube. I am your host, the Kyle Wells, and be sure to subscribe to my show right here on YouTube. If you haven't already, spread the word. I thank you. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at WellsMania, and I will follow you back. Let's tweet about wrestling and whatnot. I also do it for the gram. You can find me on there. You guessed it, at WellsMania, and like my Facebook page at WellsMania. Oh, man. Shout out to Seth G, as always, for the sick violin cover of Tinie Tempah featuring Eric Turner, Written in the Stars, the official theme music of the WellsMania Podcast. And, of course, friend of the podcast, Charlotte Flair, Queen Charlotte Flair. Woo! With the liner. Episode 4, we are running wild. I've got 2 very special guests that will be joining me later on. The WWE Human Encyclopedia, Jared Giles. He will be joining me. We will be talking about the all-women's pay-per-view Evolution later on this year. Can't wait to hear his thoughts on that. And, of course, my dude, MonStar Shawn Bradley. Him and I will be talking about the immortal Hulk Hogan, brother. But first, I want to give props where props need to be given. And I am talking about a man who we all want to walk with. Hey, 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 hey. Hey, 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 hey. Hey, 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 hey. Hey, 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 hey. That's right. I'm in a world of madness. WWE superstar Elias debuted his Walk with Elias album last week, and it is sitting right now on the iTunes charts at number 5. It's climbing towards the top, and with your help, you can make it number 1. And you're probably wondering, WellsMania, what 4 albums are in front of Elias' Walk with Elias? Well, I'm going to tell you. Number 1 is Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. Number 2 is Mamma Mia, the movie soundtrack. Number 3 is The Greatest Showman movie soundtrack. And number 4 is ABBA, Gold Greatest Hits. Hey, 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 hey. Take it away, Elias. Hey, 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 hey. It's so good. This is my favorite song off of the album. It's called Walk With Me. So you can help the cause by pushing Elias to the top of the iTunes by buying this debut album, Walk with Elias, right now on iTunes. Who would have thought that Elias would actually debut a real legit album, and it's skyrocketed into the top 5 on iTunes, and that's worldwide. So yeah, Walk with Elias, I highly recommend it. I've listened to it front and back and front, and I love every single song on his debut album. I have more on Elias. I will get to that in just a second. But first, I stumbled across a Bleacher Report article about this guy.
If you smell what The Rock is cooking.
WWE rumors talk of The Rock being interested in wrestling at WrestleMania 35. This is the Bleacher Report article that I stumbled across earlier today, and there's a quote about his desire to return to WWE, and I quote, "I can't wait to get back to a WWE ring. People always ask me, what's it like being in a WWE ring? I always tell them, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like inside a WWE ring because there's a certain live crowd acumen that is second to none. That was always and will always be the best part of my job when it comes to wrestling. Whether I'm wrestling a match or just giving a promo, that connection with the audience, there's nothing like it. End quote from The Rock. Listen, I'm all for Dwayne The Rock Johnson wrestling another match at WrestleMania. So I've got my idea on who I would want to see The Rock face, but I tweeted earlier, if The Rock does wrestle at WrestleMania 35, gift me with who you would want to see him take on. So I am now going to go through the list, and I appreciate each and every single one of you for taking the time to tweet at me a gif of which wrestler you would want to see The Rock face. And I'm going to start things off with @SuperfanBeardy. What's up, dude? Be sure to follow him on Twitter @SuperfanBeardy. He gifted me a gif of The Undertaker. The Undertaker versus The Rock at WrestleMania. Yep, that screams WrestleMania. I could definitely get aboard that. My man, Kyle Gant, @CoachKyle6. He, not surprised here, he gifted me with the gif of Goldust. Goldust is my man Kyle Gant's favorite wrestler of all time. The Rock versus Goldust. It's got a very nostalgic feel to it right there. Let's see. Adam Hollenbaugh @ahole, that's AHOLLE 2323. He gifted me a gif of CM Punk. Yeah, we could get another The Rock versus CM Punk match. I would definitely be down with that. 20x20 podcast. What? 20x20 podcast. What? 20x20 podcast. By the way, shout out to my dude, Nathan McFly, the host of the 20x20 podcast. Be sure to follow Mr. McFly @Nathan McFly_. You might just hear yours truly on episode 12 of the 20x20 podcast, which you can listen to on iTunes and SoundCloud. That's 20x20 podcast. Do it right now. So, brother, my dude, Nathan McFly, gift me a gif of Drew McIntyre. Now, that would be a good match right there. The Rock versus Drew McIntyre. And hopefully by next year, Drew McIntyre is already possibly the Universal Champ. I'm just saying. TAK, TAK. That's @808_TKO_ballin on the Twitter. He wants The Rock to get these hands. The Rock versus Braun Strowman. That would be a WrestleMania match of epic proportions. The electrifying Rock versus get these hands, Braun Strowman. Oh, man. I would definitely be aboard that. Pro Wrestling Talk, that's @ProWrestlingTLK, rather, on Twitter. Gift me a gif of Roman Reigns. How about that? The Rock versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania? I could definitely see that happening. Ryan Gant, what's up, dude? Long time no see. @RGant229 on Twitter. He gifted me a gif of Titus O'Neil tripping under the ring at the Greatest Royal Rumble. Is this a rib? Am I being ribbed? Titus O'Neil versus The Rock? Sure, why the hell not? Kayla Lasota, what's up, Kayla? @WWE Guidet, or is it Guidet? I think it's Guidet. Guidette. Guidet. That's what I'm going to go with. She gifted me a gif of the phenomenal AJ Styles. Yeah, The Rock versus AJ Styles gives me goosebumps just thinking about it. Thank you for that one, Kayla. Wrestle with this, my dudes, over at the Smash Mouth WWT. Follow us on Twitter at Smash Mouth WWT. Also subscribe to Wrestle with This on YouTube. And before I reveal who WWT would like to see The Rock face, you can catch the second WWT showcase this Sunday, airing on YouTube. You will see the 2 out of 3 falls match with Istvan Gustafsson versus Tim McLaw, plus Mega Mondo calls out Jackson Rathbone. Normally I have a it's time to wrestle with this segment, but not on this episode. I'm saving that for after this second showcase. So on episode 5, I hope to possibly have Mega Mondo, Tim McLaw, Jackson Rathbone, or Istvan Gustafsson on episode 5 of WellsMania. So WWT wants to see The Rock take on Triple H. Yeah, they kind of teased this a couple years ago in San Francisco when The Rock came to Ronda Rousey's aid. And we kind of were maybe hoping for a mixed tag team match, but that has not happened. It could. Definitely now that Ronda Rousey is a full-blown WWE superstar. So maybe we will get The Rock and Ronda Rousey versus Triple H and Stephanie McMahon at WrestleMania 35. I'm just throwing ideas out there. Ben Lacey at BENN Lacey on Twitter. He gave me a gif of Sid. Is this a rib? Am I being ribbed here? Sid versus the Psycho Sid versus The Rock at WrestleMania 35. Yeah. Thank you, Ben, for the laugh on that one. Alexander Drake at the Mad King. That's Mad with 2 D's. At the Mad King 317. He's got The Rock versus Adam Cole, baby! That would be a fun match. Definitely wouldn't mind seeing Adam Cole, baby, versus The Rock at WrestleMania 35. Mark Dykton, good brother Mark Dykton, he gifted me a gif of the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels versus The Rock at WrestleMania 35 would be legend. Wait for it. Dairy. Legendary. And the last one is from Jake Lennock at Jake_Lennock. That's LENOK 92 at Jake_Lennock 92 on Twitter. Only wrestler worth watching. By God, that's too damn mega. And he tweeted me a picture of Mega Mondo. The Rock versus Mega Mondo at WrestleMania 35. Yeah. Let's make that happen. Also, be sure to subscribe to Jake's podcast. It's called The Linux. It's a podcast about the New York Knicks and basketball. So if you are into the New York Knicks and NBA basketball, be sure to follow the Linux podcast on iTunes and SoundCloud. You can also follow them on Twitter at @the_Linux. That's LEKNICKS at @the_Linux. So thank you all so much for taking the time to tweet at WellsMania. Like I said, if y'all want the rub and the love, WellsMania will put you over. Now here is my opponent for The Rock at next year's WrestleMania, and I'm going to plant the seeds for you. So here's my idea for the 2019 Royal Rumble. You have Elias. See, I'm coming back to Elias. I told you I would. You have Elias start out the Royal Rumble at number 1, doing his routine, bragging about how Walk with Elias was number 1 on the Billboard charts and the iTunes charts for, an exaggerated number of weeks. But I hope that it does, and I believe that it will. So you have Elias bragging and boasting and doing what he does best in the ring. And then all of a sudden, The Rock's music hits. And the great one comes out, and we have ourselves a Rock Elias concert. Can you just see the visual? Elias and The Rock, the number 1 and number 2 entrant in the 2019 Royal Rumble. They have themselves a nice little concert, and then they end up eliminating each other. They start fighting and eliminate each other, and that sets up their match at WrestleMania 35. Thank you. Thank you. There you have it. That is who I would have The Rock take on at WrestleMania 35, Elias.
I am a real American. Fight for the rights of every man. I am a real American. Fight for what's right. Fight for your life.
That's right. In case you've been living under a rock, after a 3-year suspension, Hulk Hogan, brother, has been reinstated into the WWE Hall of Fame. This was announced on July 15th, and the world was never the same. Now, we have not seen the Hulkster yet, but just the fact that WWE has reinstated him means it's only a matter of time before the real American Hulk Hogan reemerges and runs wild. And speaking of running wild, joining me right now via telephone all the way out in Tacoma, Washington, he's running wild. MonStar Shawn Bradley, my dude, what's going on, man? Thank you for being on episode 4 of WellsMania Podcast. How are you?
I'm great. I'm holding up my 4 for Ric Flair and them right now, so I'm great. Thanks for having me. How are you?
Woo! I'm doing well. I'm doing very well. Thank you very much. Now, you really, really wanted to come on this episode and talk about Hulk Hogan, and this is a hot topic. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to have you on. And by the way, be sure to follow Shawn Bradley on Twitter at Monstar6. Thank you. Thank you very much. Do that right now. Well, whenever you are on Twitter next. But yes, do that. You got an idea. Well, first of all, let me get your thoughts before you pitch your idea to myself and the rest of my WellsManiacs, brother. First of all, what was your thought on Hulk Hogan being suspended and kind of erased from WWE? And then what was your thoughts and feelings 3 years later now that he's reinstated?
So the first thing I'm going to say is somebody in the WWE needs to call me because we could have marketed this totally differently. When it happened, I mean, to me, life is life. Let's start there. How that man feels about things in his personal life, is his personal business, whatever. I went all the way back. I need to find it. I'm going to see if I can find it, and I'm going to post it on Twitter. Booker T said the N-word when he was in WCW talking about Hulk Hogan years ago.
Yeah.
So I think it's funny that how like everything turns around. So when Hulk Hogan initially got suspended, I was like, a suspension, yes. But I mean, he basically modernized wrestling as we know it. So it's like, you really can't make this guy disappear. You know what I mean? Especially social media, stuff like that. Again, everybody has their own life. So then when they were like, okay, we're going to undo it, it was kind of funny because it was like a day or two after the whole Papa John thing came up, which led me to my idea. But I was like, okay, why even suspend somebody if you're going to bring them back? That's kind of how I feel. So
right.
It should have been, hey, you know what? We're going to disassociate ourselves with him. And I mean, they should have put out a timeline. You know what? This is what's going on. He's still this person. You know, anytime you hear Hulk Hogan's name, it's always going to be associated. So you can never disassociate the two. So if anything, you know what? He's not going to be at any of our events. Essentially he's going to be banned for this amount of time. But yes, he's still a member of the Hall of Fame. Yes, he's this. Once he's, sort of like they do everything, like even when they do it in college, when schools mess up, okay, y'all can't go to the dance for 2 years, but then after that, you good to go.
Right. And for guys like you and me, I mean, you're maybe a couple years older than me, although it doesn't show. I mean, you're in phenomenal shape. But
thank you.
You're welcome. Guys like you and I who are in our 30s, that is what we grew up on, was Hulk Hogan and Hulkamania. I mean, he dominated our childhood. And then all of a sudden, he makes a mistake. And WWE and their no tolerance policy, they did the unimaginable and completely made the immortal Hulk Hogan mortal. You brought up Booker T, which is definitely a very infamous promo that ran live on June 24th, 1996 on an episode of WCW Monday Night Nitro. Harlem Heat, Booker T, and Stevie Ray. They defeated Lex Luger and Sting to capture their 5th WCW World Tag Team titles. So,
Five times.
There it is. Now, can you dig that, sucker? I love Booker T. So prior to defeating Luger for the title, Booker T got a little carried away during a live televised interview with Mean Gene Okerlund backstage. And, of course, Sensational Sherry at the time was managing Harlem Heat. And R.I.P. there to Sensational Sherry. And Booker T, he said a phrase that I'm not going to repeat, and it wasn't censored, and now it lives on the internet forever. But that did not kill Booker T's career. I mean, if anything, it was a slip up on his part, and you could tell, man, you could tell he knew what he did when he
did it. He was like, with the pitch clips and everything. He's like, oh.
But man, and I didn't think anything of it because I was just a kid and I didn't really know the impact because I never really heard that word before. So I didn't really know much of it. But boy, when I got older, I knew everything about that word, and I was like, wow, I can't believe they didn't censor that on TV. So that's just a little trip down memory lane right there with the whole Booker T incident. And then, fast forward, and Hulk Hogan said the same word. And I don't know what kind of context. I think it's getting blown out of context sometimes. Now, for me being a white man, I never use that word in any circumstance, no matter if I'm given permission to say it, whether it's in a rap song that I hear. I never say it because I just know the consequences that can come with saying that word. And of course, if it gets taken out of context, then you've got this giant storm that happened to Hulk Hogan. And did you think anything about that when you first heard this?
Well, I mean, okay, so essentially, look, when all else fails, we blame Brooke, right? Because that's why he was mad, because Brooke was dating a black dude.
Right.
And that's kind of where it went. And I also blame Dave Chappelle. Because
good old Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, look, when all else fails, blame Dave. And that's just because he made the N-word so commercialized that, like, everybody felt like they were okay saying it. So it was like, even if, I mean, think about it. I want to say Chris Rock had a stand-up about it, like how he's like, white people say the N-word. He's like, now, when you're in your car listening to Dr. Dre and something comes on, you don't edit yourself all the time. You know what I mean? He's like, when you're in your car by yourself, you let it fly. And I mean, that's just what it is. Sometimes you get carried away with the lyrics, the lyrics, and you sing, and you're like, oh, well, I'm in my car by myself, whatever. But in this case, it got pushed out. Hulk Hogan did some crazy things. I mean, the man's got a sex tape. But
please don't remind me.
But you know what I mean? Like, it got pushed out, and the word got, and it's like he had to handle it the way he had to handle it. But like I said, if I was the WWE, I would have marketed it totally different.
And let's dive into that. And by the way, I've got MonStar 6 Shawn Bradley on episode 4 of WellsMania right now. Be sure to follow him on Twitter at MonStar6. Thank you. How you doing? So the floor is all yours. Run wild with your idea, brother.
So I actually have a couple, but I'm going to give you the one that I tweeted out first. Kim and Papa John should have a battle of the N-word. I mean, because when you think about it, and this is, like I said, this is the way I think about everything. You monetize everything. And I'll ask you this, pop quiz, who is one of the most infamous black persons to white people?
Infamous? Oh, man. Pop quiz, I fail. Tell me, who is it?
O.J. Simpson.
Oh, yeah, O.J. I totally spaced, but yeah, O.J. Simpson. That makes sense.
So you can either do like a triple threat match, or you could do those two wrestling with O.J. being the ref. You can have an old school Hulk Hogan versus the old school O.J. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many different ways that you can break this thing down. But like I said, in my mind, the best way to do it, okay, Hulk, you're going to have to bite the bullet. If anything, Titus put that stuff out, let them sit behind the scenes, have a conversation, and then turn it into, hey, man, like, you know what? Is this how you really feel? Me and you one-on-one. Let them go in there, get an old-fashioned beating. It's in front of everybody, so it's almost like the public humiliation behind it, and then it's over and done with. You know what I mean?
Right. And just think about the elevation of a couple of superstars that you could elevate right there. Apollo Crews and Titus O'Neil. Man, getting the rub from Hulk Hogan could do wonders for Titus worldwide.
Because he's close.
I like your idea. I do. I like your idea a lot. And if I were in control, I would definitely book something like that. But unfortunately, I'm not in control. Vince McMahon is. And I don't know if Vince McMahon would go for it because in 2018, there's a lot of sensitive people out there that might not have the same sense of humor if you put on a match like that. And
well, but you have to think about it because they did it with Nia Jax. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they made the whole, I'm being bullied now, you know what I mean? Like, they took that theme, so it's like, if you can take that and make something out of it, you can take this and make something out of it.
That is true. They definitely, man, I tell you what, though, they sure as hell flip-flopped with Nia, making her the victim and then making her the bully. And I'm just like, well, what are we doing here? Is this like the female version of Big Show, where she's going to have a heel turn like every night that we see her?
Well, to me, she's going to have to. And the only reason I say that is because her size and you can't be that big and always be the nice person.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, at some point in time, you have to become the heel. You have to become the bully.
Yeah, and if they booked her properly, and they kind of were showing signs of it, but then they kind of went away from it. But yeah, if you book her as a monster heel where she just absolutely destroys everybody, never really ever talks, just lets her actions speak for her, yeah, I'm all aboard that.
Right, because that's what they're trying to do with Ronda right now. They're like, you just go out there, you don't talk too much, you just kind of let your actions speak. But it's like, no, like, we get it, but at the same time, like, yeah, this really isn't that. You need to work on your mic.
Exactly, because you got to have both if you're going to succeed in the WWE. You got to have the in-ring talent, and you've got to be good on the mic with your promo skills too.
Okay, because if you notice, even in a lot of her movies, she doesn't have too many speaking roles. It's just, hey, go look tough, execute, we'll take care of the rest.
Yeah, and she's got that face, man. When she makes that, like, intimidating face, I get intimidated.
Yeah. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to run, not because of you, but I'm just going to run because I can't put my hands on a female.
Right.
And I'd have to fight you because I'm not just going to stand here and catch this L because you know what you're doing.
Now, you do bring up Ronda Rousey, and she's got a title opportunity at SummerSlam. Now, going back to Hulk Hogan, do you think we get Hulk Hogan at SummerSlam? Is that when you see him finally making his long-awaited return to WWE television? Do you think it's at SummerSlam?
I don't know. I feel like it might still be too early because everybody hasn't bought in yet. I feel like if they do something, they might have to do something behind the scenes to kind of start, you know what I mean, kind of start testing it out a little bit. Let's see the response that we're getting. Because, again, at the end of the day, you still have to make your superstars happy. And if a few of them have already voiced their displeasure, and there's some of your headliners in a sense, like, you got to figure that out before you start parading him out. Because then it's going to be not only was he rude and disrespectful, but now he's stealing from my thunder. You know what I mean?
Right. And that's the last thing you want, is to put heat backstage with some of the wrestlers. You try to make it a peaceful locker room, and you would hope that people would all be on the same page, but you're going to have certain folks back there who aren't quite ready for Hulk Hogan to come back, or you might just have certain wrestlers who might not be happy with their current situation. And like you said, bringing somebody like Hulk Hogan, that takes up TV time from another superstar that might be more deserving of a shot in the limelight.
And then it just goes downhill. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you, Shawn Bradley, for weighing in on Hulk Hogan, brother. And it will remain to be seen when the Immortal One will reemerge on WWE TV. By the way, when are you coming to Indy next? I know you've been out in Washington for a while now. When is your next time that you're coming back home?
Well, it's kind of funny. I fly to Pennsylvania on Sunday to do some work, but Pennsylvania is where I'll be at is only like 9 hours away from Indy. So I'm going to try to see if I can take a couple extra days and make that drive. So at least go see my little man.
Yeah, definitely. 2.0.
2.0, King of Kings, next in line.
How old is he now?
He will be 5 in January.
No way.
Yes.
Wow.
He'll be 5 in January, and I always make him, every time somebody asks him how old he is, I make him throw up both fours in the air. I'm like, no, this is the only way you can do it, son. You can't just you got to throw them both up in the air. Right.
Oh, my goodness. I just can't believe how fast time flies.
Hey, man, it flies when you're having fun and doing things.
Definitely.
Me personally, I'm waiting for the Mega Mondo championship so I can start talking crazy.
I hope that is sooner rather than later. Now, I know that, and that's where I was going, because when you do come back home to Indy, you are definitely going to get a tour of the Smash Mouth Arena and get in that ring and just get a feel, because I've always said this about you. You would thrive in the wrestling world. I mean, you've got the charisma, the personality, you've got the athletic ability, you're a great storyteller, you're great on the mic. I mean, you're the total package. Not you, Lex Luger.
I just cuss too much. That's the thing. I just cuss too much. I'm not I'm surprised I'm going this far without cussing.
Well, I appreciate that. And before I let you go, though, because I don't want to take up any more of your time, is there anything you want to plug? Any final words?
Let's see here. We already got follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Snapchat, King Shawn the One, because I'm the first. My son is the second. Let's see here. Buy all Mega Mondo gear. Go buy Milton Johnson's album. I wish I knew the name of it. Go Tar Heels. And I think that's it. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep grinding, man. I appreciate it. I love your growth.
Yes, you are the man, and I appreciate that.
I appreciate you, man. Keep doing what you're doing. Like I said, keep grinding.
I'm going to do my best. Eventually, this hard work will pay off one day.
Yes, sir.
I am a true believer in hard work. Always pays. And once again, thank you to Shawn Bradley, a.k.a. MonStar Killmonger, a.k.a. at MonStar6 on Twitter. He is my good brother, and I cannot wait till he gets inside the squared circle at the Smash Mouth Arena. Him and I could form a modern-day world's greatest tag team. I'm just saying, I would be Shelton Benjamin, and he would be Charlie Haas. So it's obvious. But yeah, talking about Hulk Hogan and his return, not sure when it's going to happen. There's a lot of theories, a lot of rumors, a lot of innuendos, rumor and innuendos flying around out there on when the immortal Hulk Hogan will return, but only time will tell. But he is back in the WWE, and I am beyond excited because, like I said earlier, Hulk Hogan dominated my childhood. He was my hero. Growing up as a kid, Hulk Hogan was my hero. You were my hero. Hey, Lex Luger tried, okay? He gave it his best shot with the Lex Express, and it didn't quite go the way that WWE thought it would. And Lex Luger possibly becoming the next Hulk Hogan in the WWE. But yeah, like I said, we all make mistakes. Some mistakes are more major than others, but the moral of the story is when you make a mistake, you realize the mistake and you better yourself from the mistake and you don't make that mistake again. So as long as Hulk Hogan, who has been in pretty good graces these past 3 years since that audio was revealed, has not had any incidents, and I hope for the rest of Hulk Hogan's life that he does not have another incident like he did 3 years ago. But I cannot wait until I hear Real American and see Hulk Hogan walk down that ramp and stand inside a WWE ring again. It is coming sooner rather than later, brother. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm coming full circle right here, right now with Triple H in Evolution and Stephanie McMahon, because Evolution is no longer a mystery. This past Monday night on Raw, Stephanie McMahon announced for the first time ever in history, there will be a first ever all-women's pay-per-view, and it is set for October 28th of 2018. And joining me now by phone, he is the WWE Human Encyclopedia. He's also 1/3 of the hottest podcast out there on iTunes and SoundCloud. I'm talking about Tuned In with Tokyo. Ladies and gentlemen, joining me right now is my good brother, Jared Giles. Jared, what's going on, man?
Oh, not much, man. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. I'm glad for you to be here. And you're the first person that came to my mind because I feel like you and I have been really strong advocates when it comes to the women's evolution in wrestling. And with this groundbreaking announcement, your thoughts, man. What was the first thing that popped into your mind when Stephanie announced this all-women's pay-per-view?
Well, I was really excited. I'm a big women's wrestling fan. I've talked about it on our podcast and different things. Big fan of women's wrestling, have been for a long time now. And it was rumored, it was speculated. We actually talked about it on our show last week that that's what the announcement was going to be. But until I actually heard it, it kind of it didn't make it real until they said it. And it's such a huge thing because if you even look back 3-4 years ago, who would have thought this would have ever happened?
Yeah, no doubt. And it's funny because when WWE broke that tweet out saying that Stephanie's going to appear on Raw with an announcement, you actually called it, man. You said that it's going to be the announcement of the first ever all-women's pay-per-view. So congratulations on predicting that, because I personally wanted it to be the announcement of the women's tag team titles. Now, that's not completely ruled out of the question because I think that we're going to get that somewhere. Is there a possibility that they would swerve us and debut them on this all-women's pay-per-view show, or am I dreaming out loud?
I think there's a possibility. You know, they said, Stephanie kind of said, not right now, but there's but, you know, it's something that's been talked about. So I would think if they are going to go the route of we'll introduce the women's tag titles, they would hold that off till after SummerSlam. Just so, since that was kind of, they got the announcement out, tickets go on sale the week after SummerSlam. So I think it was, you know, I could see it happening. I think they're going to hold off a little bit longer, though, personally.
Yeah, I agree with you with that. And by the way, the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum in New York, that is where this Evolution all-women's pay-per-view will take place. And I'm reading this right from WWE.com. The event will stream live on WWE Network and be available on pay-per-view around the world, featuring the Women's Championship matches from Monday Night Raw, SmackDown Live, NXT, and NXT UK, as well as the finals of the all-women's tournament, the Mae Young Classic 2018. And Jared, I want to shift gears and get your input because you know a lot of these women wrestlers that are on the Mae Young Classic too. And I'm going to try to go through the list here, and I want you to give me your kind of like who you think is the strongest candidate to win the Classic. Now, these are the women. Now, I apologize ahead of time if I botch their names. So, Jared, feel free to correct me if I don't pronounce some of these women's names right, okay?
Yeah.
So, we've got Deonna Purrazzo from the U.S. We've got Io Shirai from Japan.
Yeah.
Isla Dawn from Scotland.
Mm-hmm.
Jessie Elaban from the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
Jenny from England. Casey Catanzaro from the U.S.
Catanzaro.
Ah, there we go. There's my first mess up. I was on a roll there. And of course, Caitlyn, former WWE Divas champion from the U.S. You know her. She's one of your all-time favorites.
Yep.
Karen Q from China. I'm going to need help with this one. Kavita Devai from India.
Yeah, Kavita Devo, yeah.
Okay, good. Got that one right. Killer Kelly from Portugal. I like that name, Killer Kelly.
Yeah.
Lacey Lane from the United States. Mercedes Martinez from the United States. Mia Yim from South Korea.
Mm-hmm.
Nicole Matthews from Canada. Rini Gonzalez from the United States. Rena.
Holy heart.
Rena Gonzalez. Rhea Ripley from Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Good day. And this one, I probably should know this one, but I'm going to botch it. Tanara Conti?
Tanara.
Yeah. She's from Brazil. And then we got Tegan Knox from, I don't even know what that, is it Wales? Is that how you pronounce that country?
I think that's Welsh.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just going to stay away from that one. Zeusis from Puerto Rico?
Zeus, yeah. That's close enough. They, depending on which CMLL broadcast you listen to, they change your name, but I think it's Zeus. But yeah.
I like the way that you said it. We'll roll with that. And Toni Storm from Australia. So there are the participants so far. This is a 32-woman tournament, and of course, those were not 32 women. I think that's half the field, maybe a little more than half. But
yeah, it's pretty close, yeah.
Out of all of those women, Jared, who do you like the best to win the Mae Young Classic 2?
To win the Mae Young, I think it's going to be Io from Japan, I think, personally. She's had a great career in Stardom. She was actually, this is like the second or third time they were trying to sign her, and one, she said she didn't want to leave, and then she was actually originally slated for the Mae Young Classic last year, but had some health issues, so she wasn't medically cleared. So I think it's going to be Io there taking the Mae Young. Deonna Purrazzo, she's signed now, so she's going to have a strong showing in the tournament. And I think some of the newer girls from the PC are really going to surprise people. I think Jessie, or Jessica, I guess they're calling her now, Albin, and Casey Catanzaro especially. I'm really excited to see her. I've heard a lot of good reports of her, how quickly she's picked up pro wrestling after just starting to train this year.
Yeah, and you touched on your strong candidate for the winner, Io Shirai. I actually was doing some research on her. I was watching some of her matches on YouTube. Yeah. I'm really glad that they worked out a deal to get her, because she looks phenomenal in the ring. And some would say that she arguably is the best women's wrestler in the world.
She's probably a high candidate up there.
Yeah.
Certainly, I'd say certainly in the top 3 or 5 for me personally. But yeah, she's had some amazing matches in Stardom. I know it's been her home base for the last couple of years, so I'm really excited to see her on in the U.S. more, and obviously working with WWE and NXT and going forward.
Absolutely, and we could possibly have back-to-back Japanese women win, because last year Kairi Sane won the inaugural Mae Young Classic, so we could have another Japanese-born women's wrestler. According to Jared Giles, that's a strong candidate. Now, are there any women out there that haven't been announced that you would like to see in the Mae Young Classic too? I know I've got one, and I know that you probably got a couple too. I'll let you go first.
I hear that Miyako Sakatormo is supposed to be. I hope I pronounced her name right. She's also from Japan. I've been hearing some rumors she's supposed to be announced. I'd be really excited to see her in the tournament. There's a lot of strong candidates out there. The independent scene of women wrestling right now is actually pretty strong, thanks to things that WWE has done and just having more exposure overall. So there's a couple of candidates, but, I think they're getting everybody they sort of can. I personally want to see Chelsea Green.
Yeah, Zack Ryder's girl.
Yeah, she's dating Zack Ryder currently. I was a big fan of hers from when she kind of started originally back on the Tough Enough and seen her before, knowing she was trained by Lance Storm. Loved her character work she's done the last 2 years in Impact as Laurel Van Ness. She did great character stuff there. Hell of a talent. I want to see her in the tournament. So she's kind of the name that's not been out there that hasn't been announced that I really want to see in the tournament.
I agree with you. She would be a great addition. And the one women's wrestler that I am really, really hoping, and I've been pushing for, and if you follow me on Twitter at WellsMania, you know where I'm going with this, Jordynne Grace. Thick Mama Pump. I would really like to see her get the call from WWE and be a participant in the Mae Young Classic 2. And I'm going to keep trying on Twitter, hashtag give divas a chance. That worked out for, getting the first ever all-women's pay-per-view. So if we keep pushing and getting WWE to possibly show attention towards Jordynne Grace, I really hope that she gets the call. Now, I want to bring it back to the Evolution because it is being tagged that every woman on the current roster will be on hand, as well as WWE Hall of Famers and legends such as my all-time favorite, Trish Stratus, Lita, and many more. Jared, who all is going to be on Evolution? Like, who do you see being there? What do you see their role kind of being? Are there going to be any dream matches? Like, my personal dream match would be Trish Stratus versus Mandy Rose. I don't know if my heart could take that, but what do you predict happening, or what do you want to see happen?
I mean, I want to see it. I really want them to do it. I want it to be, if they want to do the all-female, I think they should have an all-female announce team.
Yeah.
I'd like to see, and Beth Phoenix said she's going to be involved in Evolution. She did commentary for the Mae Young. The Mixed Match Challenge earlier this year. She did commentary on that. So I think her and Renee as the commentary team would make a lot of sense.
That's
Lita
awesome.
did the Mae Young last year. Lita's going to be there as well, so he's possibly put her in that. The Bella Twins have been announced that they're going to be there. I would assume they will be working some sort of match.
Thank God.
And it appears, there seems to be a lot of people kind of speculating, even talent, that's talking about dream matches. Like Bayley says she wants to wrestle Lita, for example.
Right.
Mia Yim had mentioned something about, she would like to wrestle Becky Lynch, and Becky Lynch said, I'd love for that match to happen. Beth Phoenix was like, I would love to commentate that match. So I think it's going to be a good mix. I think obviously there's going to be some storylines, going in, where they're going to set up some sort of feuds, for especially in the title matches.
Right, because we still have 3 months to build on this.
Right, yeah. So you've got plenty of time. Obviously, the Mae Young. I'm guessing there'll be probably some sort of battle royal sort of thing, maybe a mix of, legends as well as, some of the NXT and Performance Center women. Just because if you're having 50-plus people on the show, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They can't all have singles or, tag matches.
Especially in the probably 3 hours that they're going to give this pay-per-view?
I would say it'll probably be 3.5 to 4 hours like most of the pay-per-views. I would guess they're going to run it the same as, Backlash or what have you.
Good, because I believe that the women deserve all the time in the world. Yeah. And I hope we get a kickoff show and the whole I hope they treat it like a normal pay-per-view. I hope that we get that same concept.
Yeah, that seems to be exactly how they have it laid out. So I am expecting, like you said, that I'm thinking it could be in a sort of situation where it is kind of like if you remember the old WCW Slamboree pay-per-views, like when they originally started, how there's maybe like legends matches, if you will. Yeah. So maybe you do like for just kind of pulling people off the top of the head, like Ivory versus Jacqueline, if you will, or like Michelle McCool and somebody team up, like let's say for example, Lay Cool teams back up for one night, against let's say the Bella, just because they were from sort of that era as well. I could see a couple, like a match or two, maybe a couple matches like that.
Cosign. I'm all aboard.
But, yeah, and then, like we said, there's the title matches, obviously the Mae Young Classic. I'm guessing the NXT the UK match might actually crown their first champion since they're just starting to do tapings this upcoming week for that. So they got to set that division up, so I'm not sure if they'll do, crown the champion on that show, or maybe they'll set a feud up before that.
Awesome. Well, that's all I've got. We pretty much nailed everything. I don't want to go into SummerSlam because I plan on having you back on for your SummerSlam predictions. So I'll save who you got winning the Ronda Rousey, Alexa Bliss Raw Women's title match, and then the Carmella versus Becky Lynch SmackDown Live. Y'all will just have to tune into the SummerSlam episode of WellsMania to get Jared Giles' predictions on that. But Jared, thank you so much for taking the time to come on episode 4 of WellsMania and break down the Mae Young Classic and the first ever all-women's pay-per-view Evolution. And before I let you go, you want to plug anything? Tuned In with Tokyo, where can people find you on Twitter?
Yeah, we've got my personal Twitter is @JCGiles. And our podcast is Tokyo Tuned In, and yeah, just we've got our podcast Tuned In with Tokyo. We upload episodes usually every Sunday, so we got once a week, about 90 minutes to 2 hours, usually depending on how good our conversations are. That's usually around that length. We talk pop culture, so anything that involves TV, comic book, toys, sports, anything going on in the world of pop culture, that's what we focus on. And, yeah, check us out on iTunes or SoundCloud. That's Tuned In with Tokyo.
I love it. Great show. And, Jared, thank you so much, good brother, for being on this episode of WellsMania. Like I said, I'll have you back on probably next month for sure.
All right, man. Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
And just saying, if any of my listeners / viewers out there want to fly your boy WellsMania and Jared Giles to New York at the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum, we'll do that. Yeah, that would be a really fun show to go to. I mean, it's groundbreaking. The first ever all-women's pay-per-view. That just feels like something you would want to be at. History will be made. So, yeah, if any of my listeners / viewers would like to fund my way out to New York, I will not say no. So be sure to follow Jared Giles on Twitter @JCGiles and subscribe to the Tuned In with Tokyo podcast on iTunes and SoundCloud. Tuned In with Tokyo. That's going to do it for episode 4 of WellsMania Podcast on YouTube. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Like I said, thank you again to MonStar 6, MonStar Killmonger, Shawn Bradley, good brother out there in Tacoma, Washington, and the WWE Human Encyclopedia, Jared Giles, for being 2 very special guests on this episode of WellsMania Podcast. Subscribe to my channel right here on YouTube. Follow me on Twitter @WellsMania. Like me on Facebook @WellsMania. Follow me on Instagram @WellsMania. WellsMania running wild, baby! Until next episode, take care and dominate the day! Mega! This is Megamondo, and Megamondo says, thank you for tuning in to episode 4 of WellsMania Podcast. But be sure to tune in to episode 2 of WWT Showcase this Sunday, because Jackson Rathbone Megamondo is coming for you. Too damn mega!